Shannen Doherty has succumbed to her cancer battle and left this plane of the earth. And today I am going to share with you the Bazi astrology of the day that she died. And what I am intuiting is going to be a rolling thunder of situations similar to this as we go into the year of the snake 2025. So welcome, my name is Lydia. This is the Feng Shui and Bazi Chinese astrology channel. On this channel, I often like to read the charts of famous people because I think it helps us to better understand our own charts and our own lives. If this speaks to you, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell so you don't miss a single video. I have lots to cover. We had so many celebrities that died over this past weekend. Richard Simmons, Dr. Ruth, Shelley Duvall, Shannen Doherty. I feel like I'm missing one. I could not believe every time I turned on I checked my news, it seemed like someone else had died, which really is stunning. So, Shannen Doherty, I will fish around and find, because I know I did a reading on her a while ago. And what she has in her chart is almost like a secret weapon. And that's not to your advantage, though it could have been, or it could be in another situation. Shannen Doherty is born in the year Yin Metal Pig, the month of Yang Water Dragon, the day of Yin Fire Rabbit, and the hour of Yang Earth Monkey. So we can tell right away, as far as 2024 goes, that, we've got the dragon comes in, and between the dragon and her own day of the rabbit, there is a harm to her earth. Earth is the element that gives her the impetus to be active in her life, to actively engage in her life, and that is harmed, okay? Interrupted is another way to look at it. So there's that. The other thing to recognize, and that's also in her chart, the rabbit and the dragon. And this year is aggravating that, okay? And she was diagnosed back in 2019 with cancer and had a double mastectomy in 2020, 4 years ago. So when you look at this, yes, it's been a 4 or 5 year journey, but it feels kind of almost in a way fast and very aggressive. By the time 3 years into having had the double mastectomy, it had spread to her brain. That year, 2023, was a yin water rabbit year. So that rabbit was banging right up against her own rabbit self, a direct hit to her sovereignty, to her life force. She felt that. When someone is sick and dying and young, it always feels like such an injustice, right? Like there's so much more life to be living. So, when we looked at 2023 last year, it feels like such a conflicted year for her, and one that was met with real challenges. But also last year of the rabbit was very much a potentially spiritual journey for her as she reconciles not only with dying, but with the life that she's lived. Recently, I went through a similar thing with a loved one of mine, in which this person was going in for a life-threatening or life-saving operation. And I watched that person spend about 6 weeks at a young age of 60 preparing to possibly not come out of that surgery alive. And I saw what that did to them. That wake-up call. And then when you come out and you survive, well, then you've got to reconcile with surviving death and having a second lease on life. The pressure that you might feel, or what do I do with myself now? I've got a new lease on life. What do I do with that? And that's something, that each of us would reconcile in our own way. So anyway, Saturday was a big day. It was the day that Trump had the assassination attempt. And, again, that the day and the year, that tiger dragon combination I had talked about in other videos is a lot of energy. It is very yang. It's very almost aggressive. And for her, if we look at, and this is where Bazi astrology is so fascinating to me, that when we have cracks in our life, whether it's sickness, divorce, bankruptcy, job loss, all the things that create cracks in our life, those cracks create a fragile framework in which to operate and live. And when our life is cracked like that and we're susceptible, all it takes is one more blow and the whole thing falls apart, right? So when we look at Shannen Doherty's chart, we see that her life pillar is crucial. Her life pillar is a yin water snake. This speaks of someone who very much in her life is going to face conflict, as far as really like people being very hard on her, dealing with some real assholes in her life. That's part of the karma she came in to deal with. Also with that is a lot of shift and change in her career, that her career would be on its own a challenge. And that in this life, she would be asked to play different roles and explore her own identity through the roles that she plays. Now, for you and I, that would be mother, daughter, lover, sister, all those kinds of roles. For her, obviously, it is acting roles in addition to those others. It also speaks of someone who would make money and have fame and all those beautiful things. And under the surface of all of that is someone who is living a very unique life, possibly intuitive, possibly someone really smart and innovative, somebody who has the ability to enact change. And that's not big change. It's kind of like under the surface things going on that lead to bigger change when the astrology allows for it, right? So that snake is what I'm talking about, is the hidden penalty in her chart. Now, fire is actually her element. She is a yin fire person. She was like a little spark, like a candle flame. And the fact that her own element, she was weak in, she only had 11%, and the wood nourishing her wasn't that strong at 16%. So a lot of her energy was in the output, earth, metal, water, all balanced, and wood balanced. So it was her own element that was the weakest of them all. So that snake is yang fire, is giving her more fire. But not really, because her snake is in conflict with her year of the pig. They are fighting each other. And so again, there is this aspect to her astrology that speaks of someone who lived with constant chronic challenge, conflict, things like that, on different levels and different scales, and certainly not every day, but enough to be something that was an overarching theme in her life, how she overcame the challenges that she was faced with, whether online bullying or a cancer battle or relationship issues or the loss of a castmate, right? So this is fire and water battling each other. And that is very unfortunate because it really does speak of someone whose life force was constantly being challenged in her astrology. That's not a good thing. And then we look at her current luck cycle that started in 2018 of a yin fire rooster, right? Speaking of the yin fire is directly about her and her community, her network. She had a podcast that she started around her talking about her cancer journey. And I know that was an important thing for her to take her cancer journey and make it a public platform so that other people with cancer would feel supported and heard. The rooster as yin metal speaks of someone who is dating and finds a little bit of love in her life, but also is dealing with health issues. So that is there. And of course, it's all these layers. Now, Saturday, July 13th, we know was year of the Yang Wood Dragon, the month of Yin Metal Sheep, and the day of Yang Earth Tiger. And so when we look at this, right, and we come back to the fact that the cancer spread in her brain in 2023, and this was another big challenge to her. It's also the possibility that she began to get into a more spiritual frame of mind as she is reconciling, again, am I surviving this or is it killing me? That day that she passed away and left this realm, again, mentioning the dragon being in her month that is harming her earth, her ability to have output, energy to live actively in her life being harmed, and that being reinforced this whole year, which means that her own day of the rabbit has been in this harming situation her whole life with the dragon in her month, and then this year coming in and just aggravating that. It's breaking her down. It's breaking her down. In addition to that, the day on July 13th, the day of the tiger, combines with her rabbit and the dragon of her month and this year to make a full wood trio. That's a whole lot of support for her. But as all this support comes waving in, metal, her hour of the monkey, bangs up against that tiger in conflict. So as we have this surge of support, that monkey come in her hour brings in the metal. And that metal to me speaks of her lungs. And the wood, that inflation of wood being possibly her liver. And the biggest piece of all, well, you've got the harm with her rabbit and the dragon being aggravated, the earth being damaged, the earth being her immune system. So you've got multiple things. You see what I'm talking about? And I've mentioned this in other videos where the cracks begin to be too much. Final blow is this. She has that monkey in her hour. She has the luck cycle of the snake, that hidden penalty. And now the day of the tiger. And there have been years of the tiger. There have been other days of the tiger. But for whatever reason, enough cracks in her astrology to where that day was one day too much. And that's where we have Yin So Shen, tiger, snake, monkey. That penalty speaks of lawsuits, bankruptcy, illness, like down to death. This was what I saw in Donald Trump's assassination attempt chart. It is what is going on in Donald Trump's chart for the next 10 years, and it is in many other celebrities' charts, and it's going to come to a head next year, 2025. There will be a lot to be said about the coming energies for next year. But this was Shannen Doherty, and that was her journey in life. And tough woman. She had to be. With an astrology like this, she had to be tough, even as she was a sweet, gentle rabbit person with a pig year. Everybody loved her. What a beautiful soul. Blessings, friends. Until next time, be well.